Hey everyone, CJ here. It is to my great pleasure that I am announcing the release of my new 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons class, the Channeler. Well, since all of you are such perceptive audience, it is not hard to guess the inspiration source for this class. If you love your personas and jojos, this class is a must-play for you. It is a class with unique playstyle where you control a phantasm for combat and you can use its extraordinary powers for creative roleplay and exploration. There are 3 phantasm subclasses included here, and each of them have different themes. The Chronos Avenger has time manipulation abilities. Iron Myrmidon has extra-dimensional arsenal. And Harmonic Magician has sonic manipulation powers and spellcasting abilities. You can find the link to the product in the doobly-doo. A lot of work has been done for the creation of this class. It has been play-tested a lot. It's got full color pages, printer-friendly version, and included inside are infographic cheat sheets that help you learn the class's basics and also a summary to tell DMs how to class work and how to challenge players playing it. This video is a companion piece to the class. It is divided into 2 parts, introduction to the class concept and basic tutorial. If you want to go straight to the tutorial, jump to this timecode or use the timestamp below. I think what makes a class really great is not just the mechanics, but also the roleplay ideas it inspires. That's why I have created a lore behind this class. You don't have to use this, but to help you roleplay, here is the Channeler's lore. The origin of this phantasmal power is indefinite. It can be caused by ancient artifacts, the bite of a nightmare larva from Pandemonium, whatever. But the common origin they share is that they are formed out of a vivid shard of the Channeler's memory. Past regrets can crystallize into a phantasm with time manipulation ability. Happy moments in a protective environment can turn into a guardian phantasm. The memory of a pet can turn into a phantasm familiar. What happens after a phantasm is born is different in each case. Sometimes the memory vanishes from the Channeler's mind. Since individuals are defined emotionally and morally by their past experiences, this can have great consequences. Maybe you were a psychopath who were barely steered away from a dark path by your pet when you were young. Imagine what happens when that piece of memory disappears. What sort of alignment shift would your character experience? Sometimes the memory remained intact. But imagine how would you feel if you have to come face to face with the personification of a past trauma day and night. A phantasm can be considered a curse or a blessing. So you should ask the question, what is your relationship with this phantasm look like? By the way, your phantasm doesn't have to look like these though. These are just made for illustration purposes. You are free to use your imagination for your own phantasm. The Channeler has a lot of combat features, which I am going to explain briefly in the tutorial part. But I think what makes classes and subclasses really great is their roleplay potential. In general, phantasms make great spying devices because they are incorporeal. You can use your action to perceive through its senses, so looking at what's behind the door is as easy as walking right up to it. The other subclasses also have unique role-playing features. The Chronos Avenger has the ability to manipulate time. It has a feature called Past Object that the Channeler can use to return an object to its past shape within the last 24 hours. After 1 hour or by using your action, those objects will return to their original state. With this ability, you can do things like restoring a burnt letter to read its content, or combine a cut piece of rope to create a trap. At higher level, it can even open a window to the past to see past events that transpired in the location a few days ago. Eventually, it can stop time for combat or non-combat purposes. Iron Myrmidon can use the power of magnetism to move small metallic objects. At later level, it can also turn into a force platform, which is strong enough to tow heavy objects like wagons or statues. You can run creatures over with it, but it is not really intended for combat. since it is quite slow, but it will freak the hell out of weaker monsters. Later on, it can even turn into an indestructible chrome block, which has a lot of utility in and out of combat. It can be used as cover or platform to stand on for solving puzzles. The Harmonic Magician has phantom sonar that lets it perceive the terrain's shape and depth, so it can map out the shape of a corridor in complete darkness, uncover non-magical hidden doors, and figure out if an object is hollow inside. It can also learn ritual spells from every class's spell list by inscribing them to a special circular plate. But since channelers with this subclass only have half a spellcaster's spell progression, they will be getting these ritual spells a little later. Alright, it is tutorial time now. Here I will do a basic rundown of the channeler to kickstart your understanding of this class. First thing first, if you're unarmored, you can use your Phantasm's armor class for yourself, which is a certain number, 13 for Chronos Avenger plus your Wisdom modifier. Your main resource is the soul dice. You can expand it to pump up the damage you deal and bolster your saving throws and ability checks if your Phantasm has the relevant features and manifestations. Manifestations works just like the Warlock's Eldritch Invocation. You can customize your Phantasm with more manifestation at higher level, and you can also pick manifestations exclusive to certain subclasses. Some powerful manifestations requires 2 slots instead of just 1. Here is how you control your Phantasm. Normally, they reside in a pocket dimension within your body. You can use your bonus action to command it to appear in the same plane you are in. It can only appear within the appearance range, and it cannot move out of the range limit. You use your action to send it back to your pocket dimension. But you don't have to do it if you like having your Phantasm around you all the time. They are invisible to everyone except for yourself, other channelers, and creatures with true sight. Tethered Phantasms like Chronos Avenger and Iron Myrmidon moves with you relative to its cardinal position, without using its movement. If it occupies a space to your northwest, it will remain in that position where you move no matter which direction you are facing. Untethered Phantasms like Harmonic Magician moves independently. It has wider appearance range and limit, and it does not move with you. When it is outside your range limit, it goes back to the pocket dimension inside you. Other Phantasms will also go back to their pocket dimensions if an effect moves them out of their range limit. When the Phantasm is out, you can use your action to telepathically command it to attack. It attacks with advantage because, as I've said before, Phantasms are invisible to all creatures except to channelers or creatures with true sight. But spells like Fairy Fire and See Invisibility will reveal them. The advantage they get is balanced by their smaller damage dice. But you can spend soul dice to boost the damage they deal. You add your charisma modifier to the soul dice result when you deal damage and when you heal, but not when you are using it for saving throws or ability checks. The number of soul dice you have and the number you can spend at a time depends on your channeler level. When you give your Phantasm a command with your action, it can also move up to its speed. You can make it move and act in any order, and you can break up its movement too. If you position your Phantasm strategically, it can nail an unaware enemy with its opportunity attack. You can also use your action to command the Phantasm to do other actions granted by its manifestation, or to just move. There is an infographic cheat sheet for the movement rules in the class booklet, by the way. In combat, Chronos Avenger is the heavy hitter. It can attack many times and it has improved critical hit rate. When you land a critical hit, you should spend all the soul dice you can because it will all be doubled. However, the Chronos Avenger doesn't have great armor class, so you have to play it smart and use lots of hit and run tactics. Iron Myrmidon is a versatile tank. Its Phantom Shield can be used to increase its own armor class or an ally's. It's got its default attack, but you can load it up with weapons and ammunitions, turning them into its Phantasm arsenal. At lower levels, the weapons can't be made invisible yet, so it doesn't attack with advantage using those weapons. It also ignores the loading property, so it can become your automated heavy crossbow platform. The Harmonic Magician's unique feature is that it can relay spells as long as it is in its channeler's sight. Channelers in this subclass only has half the spellcaster's spell slot progression, so it has limited spellcasting ability. But the spell's potency can be boosted by soul dice, and you can convert soul dice into spell slots. But unlike sorcerers, it is only a one-way conversion. It can also broadcast discordant waves to interrupt enemies' concentration. Of course, there are plenty of other features in the booklet for you to discover, among them being the ability to cast double spells and the ability to interrupt your opponent's turn by stopping time. It's a new class and I am sure that there will be lots of questions for you to ask, so feel free to ask me anything about the class in the comment and I will answer them when I am awake. As a Dungeon Master, I know that it can be a hassle to learn the intricacies of a new class, especially if it is a random class a player has just found or bought online. So I have also prepared a DM cheat sheet at the back summarizing the channeler's strengths and weaknesses. So Dungeon Master can just look at this and quickly learn how to challenge players playing this class. The 2 cheat sheet infographics is free by the way, so you can just download it and show it around. Okay, so that's it for the channeler. You can support this YouTube channel by buying the class at DrivethruRPG. The earlier you buy, the better is the discount you're going to get. Remember to have fun with it, and do your fabulously masculine poses while roleplaying. CJ, over and out.